but to my parents' credit, to rewind a little bit, Tommy and Adam, two friends from...
They grew up in the karate school.
They grew up in the karate school. I went to middle school with them around the corner from the karate school at Booty. I went to high school with them at Midwood. And I knew of the school, and I don't know how I thought to start going there exactly. Maybe Adam said something to me because he's the kind of person who might do something like that. But my parents put me in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at your dojo, and yeah, like I needed a sense of self-defense, and I needed a sense of all the things that the martial arts can give us to kind of just put it in a neat package. And nothing like that ever happened again at school.
It's my submission that I tell the kids every single class, like, stand straight, be still, like your posture matters, your breathing matters. Predatory people are watching you. And not to create paranoia, but to give them a sense of control away. Like, and I think jiu-jitsu, karate too, judo too, wrestling too, kickboxing too, provide the practitioner, young or old, with an education that is embedded in their body, and they just move differently.
Yeah.
And when you're faced with those challenges that, in your case, jiu-jitsu, gave you, these interactions with others in, a semi-competitive state. I don't really like using that term, but it's part of what goes on. And you're working out problems in such close proximity with another human.
Yeah.
And this people don't really talk about this. My friend Michelle Gay is a movement analyst, amongst other things, and we talk about it a lot, is the deep healing power of touch.
Yeah.
Like, even in like full contact, it's just a deep embedded sense of touch. And thought about in a correct way, there's a lot of healing associated with that. And I think that, like, that's what's one of the things that's so beautiful and transformative about the martial arts.
Absolutely.
Your gait becomes different. The way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you look, your skin, everything changes. And you just don't scream victim. It's so funny that, like, I was zoned for Julia Richmond High School.
Okay.
And Julia Richmond High School was East Hell. It was terrible. It was lawless. Like, I cut out of school and went with my best friend, Hector Mazzari. He went to Julia Richmond. He was a big, badass dude. And to give you some context, like, he was like, come, like, we'll hang out in school. You'll see what it's like. And so I was in junior high school, and so I went. And no one checked me at the door. I sat in on his classes. We went to lunch, and I got into a massive fight outside. And, like, I was scared, bro.
Yeah.
I was scared.
It wasn't funny. I'm laughing, but
no. It's well, I think you know the sense. You're laughing because you know the sense. And, like, I was completely terrified. And I had done martial arts, but it wasn't, like, a part of me yet.
Yeah.
And, it was really interesting. Like, I remember, it's funny, all these stories on the train. Like, I can remember being on the train with my then girlfriend, and, like, dudes popping off and making comments. And I'm like, this is going to go south one day.
Yeah.
And I'm not prepared.
Yeah.
And I need to be prepared.
Yes.
But it's so interesting that kind of is the driver. But that's not what you get. Like,
it is what I get.
You get a component of it, but like, there's just so much more. It's so much richer.
Yeah.
Do you think that the dojo, like, we were talking and we were discussing the other day, like, and we can back out of the conversation. We can take it off, but but you and I were discussing there are two dads that bring their teenage sons to the school,
Mhm.
and it's like really amazing to watch them together. And you and I were discussing like bumping into that.
Mhm.
That while it is amazing, it's also very heartbreaking in some
Yeah.
ways. And like, do you think that part of what you came to the dojo for was like a sense of family, or a sense of like a return to your dad, or like a sense of like paternity? Is that the way to put it?
I don't think that's what I was looking for, but that's what I think I got. I do think, again, the timeline at the beginning is difficult because I remember, before we in our jujitsu classes, before we dive into the, like, actual jujitsu technique, we're doing stand up, we're doing judo. And I remember my dad and I, when I was a kid, used to always play, and he used to always say, like, sweep the feet. And he would do a kind of like Daashi Harai. He would do a kind of version of that on me. And I remember he was sick, and I was like trying to get him to play with me when I was like, 14. And that's why the timeline's a little fuzzy, because because I remember him being like, kind of like, it wasn't that he was like, I don't do that anymore, but something about getting sick with cancer. Um, he was like, no, I want peace
Oh,
almost.
wow, what an interesting thing to say.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to engage with you in that way. Um, so I can't quite remember, but I'm like, I think I started doing jujitsu before he passed, um, but to answer your question, I don't think I was looking for that, but I think I ended up getting something like that. And I don't want to like overstate it or understate it. I want to try and find a way to describe our relationship at that time in an accurate way. But I remember I'll kind of like, if I get lost in trying to describe it, I'll kind of describe it in this way. I think before I left for college, we had watched The Secret or something like that,
Oh, fascinating.
and there was like this idea of gratitude rocks.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I gave you one as a parting gift,
Uh-huh.
and I wrote on it, "Thank you for saving my life."
Uh-huh.
And that was really like I understood it at the time, but I think in retrospect, being back at the school, I understand it so much more, you know? And, of, like, how essential our relationship was in me, like, getting through those difficult teen years. Um, and I kind of wonder, like, because some of my friends at that time were also involved in the school, why our relationship was different. And, coming back and re reestablishing this relationship with you that we've kind of, like, put on pause more or less for a long time, and actually listening to your podcast and hearing some of the stories, like, being 15 and wondering if God had, like, I think for you, you described it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were wondering around that time if, like, God even
I
existed,
was.
and then you're sitting in some
Abandoned
apartment in
apartment.
Harlem
Rats
watching.
crawling across my
Yeah,
feet. Yep.
and I was like, "Fuck, me and this guy are like we're like." No, I'm like, "No, kinda no wonder." I don't know if
That's
that's
right.
your
Of course.
experience or if that's conscious for you, but I was like, we were in a very similar place. I remember when I was 15, I remember I sat on the mat in the basement of the school after class one night. I don't know why we got into talking about this, but I was quoting this William Blake poem, um, that basically goes like, "Some are born to sweet delight, and some are born to endless night. Some are born to endless night." And because of all the things I had gone through in my life, I really had this idea that, like, I wasn't created in this world to, like, live a happy life.
Endless delight. I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
like, I
Yeah,
was born
bro.
to endless night.
Suffer. Yeah.
Yeah. God put me here for nefarious reasons,
Yeah.
which is like, who is that guy then
Right.
if he created me for this? And I think that a lot of what our relationship showed me is that things could be good. And so I feel like when I came back to the school recently, like I was very kind of that got put into perspective from like my adult place thinking back.
Yeah. I'd like to contribute.
Yeah, please.
So thank you. And then two is, in so many ways, Tim, you saved my life.
Mm,
Like like I had said when you were discussing with me recently about bumping into the kind of fathers, the two dads and their sons, their teenage sons training. And, I had understood like, oh, I would have loved to have done that with my dad.
yeah.
And I I I haven't really ever thought about that with Bobby.
Mm.
Like he just was too nefarious of a guy. He was too,
This
to
is your
use your term,
father,
yeah, my
Bobby?
dad. He was, like it was very difficult, very violent, very like people have heard me talk about it, but I I I had to like reconcile this, and I still kind of do, like on some level, like who am I if I'm this guy's son?
Mm,
Like who am I really? I'm just writing a story that I'm going to submit to the New Yorker about him taking us, him taking me. He's drunk and high.
mhm.
And he takes me in a car and drives into oncoming traffic.
Is this the story you sent me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. I'm
Amazing.
working on it. I'm working on it.
Amazing.
So, but like I had said to you when you were talking about the fathers and son, it's like, it's beautiful to see. And I don't have like a missing anymore.
Mm,
And one reason I don't have a missing, Tim, is because of our relationship.
mm,
It helped me to reconcile, and it was so very important to me as well. It helped me to reconcile. Not that I was trying to be a surrogate dad,
mhm,
but it helped me reconcile being a son.
mm.
It helped me reconcile like a lot of that stuff.
Tell me more, I'd love to hear more about that.
Tim, that the relationship was super important to me. And in the on the surface of it, it was like I could see that you were struggling
Mm,
and struggling in ways that I knew oh so well. And I was, you know, I was definitely trying to show you that things can be good
mm,
and that there are, for some of us who feel like we're born to endless night. That's why I laughed. Like there can be very, very good moments, good times, good stretches. Like it's just not all dark.
yeah.
Uh, it does sometimes feel that way. Um, and so on the external,
Mhm.
there was this kind of I when I was describing you recently, I was like in our past, I was like I kind of was like a big brother.
Mm,
In New York in the 70s, there was something called the big brother, big
yeah,
sister thing.
yeah.
And I that's the way I placed it in my head.
Mhm.
I don't think I wasn't trying to position myself to be your dad,
Yeah.
a surrogate dad to like give you the rules about shit.
As the kids might say these days, you're like "Unc," you
Unk,
know?
unk.
My youngest uncle is just turned 60,
Oh,
so it's like,
yeah,
you could be
yeah,
yeah, you could be
unk,
the next in line, yeah.
yeah. So, but what I got to do I can remember being 7. I think I may have said this on the podcast, but I remember walking to school. I believe I know where I am. I'm on York Avenue and between 88th and 87th Street.
Mm.
And I'm looking down at the concrete and I'm realizing I'm completely alone.
Mm.
Completely. My mother's working 80 hours a week.
Mhm.
She comes home well after I'm asleep and leaves before I get up.
Mhm.
I'm, cooking and doing all the cleaning for myself, 7, 6. And I remember looking up to the sky and going like, I'm going to have to be my own mom and dad.
Mm.
Like, that's the way it's going to go for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so I set out to kind of do that,
Mhm.
to parent myself.
Yeah.
And, i.e. all of the hiccups, all of the different ways where I've kind of tripped up and all the stuff, right? And so I think that inside of our relationship, what I got to find was my sonship,
Mm.
and how that dimension was healing for me.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't like, when you had said to me, I'm going to keep the names out of it, but like you were bumping into, this teenage boy, and he
Mhm.
kind of, I understood you were like, kind of wished you had that. And then also like there was some other component where like, you were bumping into him because maybe there's something about being a teenager that needs to get healed or
Yeah.
reconciled. But I was able to go like, yeah, man, it's beautiful to watch.
Mm.
And I meant that.
Mhm.
And I don't think I would have had that. Like I remember saying to you, yeah, man, like imagine how it was like for me and how it has been for me teaching people's kids
Mhm.
and watching dads love their kids, way more than I ever got. Like I didn't ever get that experience.
Yeah.
And not boo-hoo-hoo, but like it was tough, man.
Yeah.
And I had said to you, like, it's what's even tougher is watching dads don't give a shit about their kids.
Yeah.
And I'm in there loving their kids as best as I can, teaching them.
Mhm.
And that's a struggle, bro.
Yeah.
But like all that stuff is to be worked out in the dojo. That's like
Absolutely.
my training. And so metaphorically, I want to give you back that rock, or give you my rock, my gratitude rock that says, thank you for saving my life in a way.
Thank you for
Um,
that.
yeah.
I receive it humbly.
Uh-huh. It's much bigger than the one you gave me. It was just like that, right?
I'm able to carry a little bit more weight today than when I was 15, so.
Brilliantly put. So like, I, what do you think, like, what, what do you think the major lesson for you is at this juncture in your training? And then what would you say is like, for someone listening that either is engaged with the martial arts or wants to do the martial arts, like what's the best part about it?
Mm. There's no bad part about it, so
Hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to say what the best part about it is because I guess the one challenge is that why do I have to
Maybe
phrase
it's,
things
wh-
negatively?
oh, okay, well, maybe a better question is, what's a piece of wisdom that you could
Yeah.
share? Maybe that's a better question to
I
ask.
mean, the that my favorite thing about it is, like, also the thing that's so challenging. It's like, it really can be so confronting, It can be so confronting, but in this way that can feel off the rails, but it's not. Like, when I texted you and I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, that was an intense situation. I was so pissed off." Like, that felt to me a bit out of control. But when you said you're doing great, I was like, "All right, Xian's there, just kind of like holding the negative space for me, for lack of a better term, you know. So, you know, what a blessing to be confronted and be able to, like, you know, hopefully in 6 months from now or a year from now, I'll look back at these challenges. Well, knowing me, I probably won't even remember them. I'll probably
Right.
just have completely forgotten about them.
That's a very spiritual point, by the way, too.
Yeah.
When it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up in consciousness anymore.
Yeah. But I'll probably look back and be like, hopefully a lot more resilient and a lot, you know, dealing with things that, you know, not dealing with different problems. Like, there's always going to be problems, but there's always work to be done. There's always things to improve. You know, we talk about Kaizen, like there's always improvement to be had. And so, like, I'm very grateful that, like, I have a space in my life where I can show up, and it's encouraged that I bring my problems there and work through them, you know? Like, work is not like that. Um, Other areas of my life can be like that, but there's something about the physicality of the martial arts that, like, you know, this body really needs. And so, you know, I would say for anybody that's, like, thinking about doing the martial arts, you know, as you said to our fine producer before the show, as long as it feels safe, as long as it feels like you're not being put in a dangerous situation, make time for it and go for it.
Well done, my man. Well done.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure, an honor.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at the GentleArtPodcast@gmail.com or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or thegentleartpodcast.com.